Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Lunch with the Library. This program is intended for teens and adults, but feel free to have everyone join in. If you have questions for our next speakers, leave us a comment. Feel free to let us know what you're reading, and for those more in-depth questions, call the library, email us. We're still here. Today, we are focusing our chat on nonfiction, and on our panel, we have Stephanie and Tara. My name is Molly, and I will be moderating this morning, but I'm going to have our group introduce themselves. So Tara, how about you go first?
Hi, I'm Tara, and I work at the Cedar Rapids Public Library as a programming librarian.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I work at the Cedar Rapids Public Library on the west side as the branch manager.
Thank you both for joining us. So we are going to just jump right in with our first question. This one is always the obvious one. What are you reading right now? So Stephanie, let's start with you.
So I am actually reading Patricia Cornwell's Chaos, which is near the end of the Scarpetta series. I started the series last year because I realized I had never read it, and people were criticizing my reading choices because I had never read Patricia Cornwell, and she is right in the alley of books that I enjoy fiction-wise. So I was kind of embarrassed, so I started reading them. Good.
I've never heard of anybody. Well, yeah, never mind. I have been criticized for only reading young adults.
I was going to say, come on.
Tara, how about you? What are you reading right now?
Yeah, I'm actually reading something for work that you guys have probably heard of. It's Reality-Based Rules of the Workplace by Cy Wakeman. And so it's all about accountability and controlling what you can at work despite anything else that's happening. So I just started it, and I'm finding it really refreshing, and it has some cool pointers. Just about staying focused on yourself and what you can control. So
very good. I have not started that one.
Something you have to read for work. It hasn't been too bad.
Good to know. Okay, let's go ahead and start with our next question here. This one is about nonfiction. So Tara, I'm going to have you answer this one. When you read nonfiction, what are you looking for in a title? Are you reading for facts? Are you reading for learning about a specific topic, like recipes or gardening or things like that? What are you looking for in those nonfiction titles?
For me, I often look for titles that have information that would help me in my personal life or help improve my life or somebody else's life. So titles like that. And then also when I'm at work and I'm roaming the stack, seeing if anybody needs assistance, I just like picking up some random nonfiction books. I always find something interesting. For instance, there was this book called Junk Foodie that was all about different recipes that you can make using just basic junk food, like Twinkies and Reese's and gummy worms, and just putting it all together, but kind of in a gourmet way. So you're actually breaking up the ingredients and then making something new with them. So that was something, for instance, that I found that was really just kind of entertaining.
I love that. I would use that book. You know me. That's basically my food group right there. It's junk food. Stephanie, how about you? Same question. What are you looking for in a nonfiction title?
So I tend to look for titles that either make me snort when I walk by them because they're funny, or attract my attention to the point where I have to pick it up because I'm like, oh my God, what the heck is that? So I tend to walk by the more common titles or the more, normal titles of fiction or nonfiction books because they're not as interesting to me. So I am looking for the stuff that is going to be a little weird, a little out there.
That is awesome. I think I'm kind of the same way. I do, Tara, when you brought that up, I do really enjoy nonfiction shelf reading. So if I'm on reference, sometimes I'll do that upstairs, and it's always quite intriguing what you'll find. I think that when I do look at nonfiction books, that I end up looking at more how-tos, like how to do a porch deck, or how to, house renovations, or just simple how-tos. I did a lot of how-to reading for some of the teen camps. So how to make a simple circuit or things like that. So, but I also really love history, especially Tudor history. So whenever I'm over that way, I like to read even the inside covers of some of those books. But
have either of you read narrative nonfiction before? Like Eric Larson comes to mind. I like that too. That's something else I'll read, is just a story that a nonfiction book that reads more like a fiction book. I like those as well, like Devil in the White City and In the Garden of the Beasts.
Now I'm forgetting who did it. Somebody did the Lost City of the Monkey God, and it's a popular like adventure author, and I'm thinking it's Patterson, but it's not Patterson. Anyway, Lost City of the Monkey God was like that. It was really good.
Oh, cool.
It was about exploring South America, searching for the Lost City of the Monkey God, obviously.
That's awesome.
But,
at one point, we had a patron who would come in and all he read was nonfiction. That's all he wanted. And so luckily I had a few titles like for him already, but then he was like, oh, now that you're the person who knows about nonfiction, I'm going to come in. Every time I come in, I'm going to ask you for something new. So then I was like, oh, I've got to read more nonfiction. So that's something that has started me on it too, was like just having titles ready for Reader's Advisory is kind of nice.
Well, that is a perfect lead-in for our next question. So Tara, because we're on this topic and you're the one that was discussing it, what is the best nonfiction title that you've ever read?
I think that Devil in the White City by Eric Larson was just very interesting. So it's all about the Chicago World's Fair, I think in like 1893. And part of it went into the history of Chicago, like how Chicago was planned out and the suburbs, and then how Chicago actually got to do the World's Fair. And you know, you both know that pretty much everybody knows Chicago is really big. They actually incorporated a lot of little townships right before applying to have the World's Fair so that they could have it. So they could be like, yeah, we're a huge city and we can have the World's Fair. So that's part of the reason why Chicago is so large.
Wow.
So just like interesting facts like that. But the basis of the story, it's all about, and this is nonfiction, so it's all about this serial killer who was at the World's Fair and like kidnapping women during the World's Fair. But it's also about like the history of Chicago, and so kind of a dark title, but also like some very interesting like points about Chicago history. So
did he do another one? That was before that got famous?
In the Garden of the Beasts.
Yes, yeah. That was the one I was thinking, yeah.
Okay, yep, and that one's about an American ambassador to Germany, to Berlin during the Nazi regime.
All right. Stephanie, same question for you. What's the best nonfiction title you've ever read?
So I was thinking about this question a little bit. I'm actually going to tout an author instead of a specific book.
Okay.
So I highly recommend Mary Roach. And one of her most popular books that people have probably heard about, because the title is bizarre, is Stiff, The Secret Life of Human Cadavers.
Huh.
I know. And you're saying, oh my God, what is Stephanie reading? No, seriously. So Mary Roach picks a topic and then she researches it, and it's a topic she doesn't know much about. And she writes a bunch of chapters on various subjects about that topic. So Stiff is about what happens to your body after you die. So there's a chapter on if you donate your body to medical science, if you decide to be cremated, if you decide to be buried, if you decide to do a biological be planted as a tree, kind of thing. And her footnotes, I swear to God, I have never been so close to wetting my pants while I'm reading a book as I have been when reading her footnotes. She is so funny. And she makes the topics really engaging. She's got another one called Spook, which is about all of the experiments that people have done in the late 1800s, early 1900s to try and quantify the soul. So they would try to get people who were dying to die on a scale to see if they lost weight. at the moment of death if their soul, weighed anything.
Whoa.
So it talks about a lot of that. She's got one called Grunt, which is all about getting ready to join the military, all the crazy military stuff that they're going through. There's one on naval shark repellent, and that one that's hysterical, a chapter on that. Her books are they're amazing. They'll teach you a lot of useless trivia that you will use when you play trivia games or watch Jeopardy or to impress your friends. And they are really funny and engaging. She's got a great voice. She's really fun to read.
Huh. I think you sold me.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
We've got all of them at the library, just so you know. Every single one.
And cut. No. So that is, again, you two are just perfect at the leading questions here. So as someone, I mean, I'm feeling kind of sold already. I kind of want to go read some nonfiction now. But as someone who doesn't read nonfiction, what would you say is the biggest selling point? What would you, if I came in as a patron and said, I've never read nonfiction, what should I do? How would you sell it to me? Stephanie, I'm going to have you start for this one.
I tend to start people on travel logs. And the reason for that is because it is usually a very engaging, and okay, I do recommend Mary Roach all the damn time, just so you know. But I tend to recommend the travel log because it is following one person's story usually. It is mishaps and wonderful things, and it almost reads more like fiction than a lot of other nonfiction does. So when you're reading the travelogue, there's a beginning, there's an end, there's a middle, a climax. It really sort of works through it. Like Wild by Cheryl Strayed is an amazing book, and people should enjoy it if they like fiction stories. Though this isn't fiction, it's talking about her feelings, it's talking about her reactions to things. And travel logs do really good at that.
All right. Tara, how about you?
What is Wild about, Stephanie?
Wild is about Cheryl's walk. She decides to do the Pacific Crest Trail, which runs from Mexico to Washington State. And she decides to do it by herself after her mother died, to sort of come to grips with how she's feeling. So she goes out on her own to walk this trail by herself. And it's a great book. I haven't seen the movie, by the way. There's a movie with Reese Witherspoon. I haven't seen it, but the book was amazing. Like when it was done, I wish she would keep walking. Like I wanted to keep her. When she was done with her journey, I was like, this sucks. Keep walking.
Cool. I think the biggest selling point about nonfiction is just to look at what somebody's interested in. Because there's a nonfiction book out there for everything, like that junk foodie book. Who knew that existed?
Me.
Just
I'm ready.
Wandering the stacks and like going to the information. Like, okay, you're interested in walking, you're interested in hiking. There's books out there for that. Yeah. I like, and just the narrative nonfiction, because there's a lot of books, like Stephanie was saying, that read like fiction. And if you're interested in some topic, or even if you've never heard of that topic, you might like those books because they read very similar to just a fiction book.
I think that is the thing that would really get me engaged is the narrative part of it. And so I think about those books like, The Glass Castle, is that the one that was really famous and had the movie tie-in? Or I know that one of the books that always in even my high school got passed around because, you're required to read nonfiction titles or you're required to read something, was The Boy Called It. So things like that. So with those strong narratives, those strong emotional ties, I think really is what gets it, that would get me involved, I think. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see what titles, but Tara, you're right. I mean, there's titles for everybody. Who knows? There's all kinds of great stuff out there.
Uh-huh. And I think also, like, if there's any area of improvement that you're looking for in your life, there's always a title. I feel like sometimes the library is just, like, the nonfiction section was made for me because I'll be roaming the stacks, and then I'll see something that just, like, perfectly ties into something I'm learning about, like, in my life. So I love that, too. Like, the library is for me, and it's for everyone, and if you just roam around, you're just likely to find something.
That's awesome. So that leads us to our last question. If someone was writing your biography, what do you think would be a good title? So Tara, do you have any thoughts on that? What would you?
Yeah, that's a tough question. That's a wild one. So I had two different answers. One was something like she's the comeback kid, like a story of resilience and strength, just like highlighting, you know, different obstacles I faced in my life and how I've overcome them. And then the other one was a little bit interesting. I like was talking to my friends the other day about this, and dancing with the skeletons from my closet. I wanted it to be something that, you know, highlighted again, like obstacles, but then like in a way that made it like, you know, you're overcoming them. So
that's a good one. I would pick up that book for sure. Stephanie, what do you think?
So I asked my kids what they thought I should title my autobiography. And the answer was Princess Poopy Pants and Her Adventures. Keep in mind, my daughter is 14. She thought this was hysterical. I would not title it that. I actually would title it All She Wanted Was Chickens.
That's hilarious.
Because that has been an obsession of mine for probably the past, 10 years. I've wanted chickens. And I know I can't have them because I have dogs. And because when I lived I moved here from Minnesota. When I lived in Minnesota, I had an acreage, but it wasn't horribly protected. The chickens would have bought the farm because of various intruders like raccoons or skunks or possums or what have you. So they never would have lived. But I've taken the backyard chickens class. So like I have a license to have chickens in the city of Cedar Rapids, but I'm never going to do it because really all I've ever wanted is chickens, but I'm never going to have them. So I think the title of my book should be All She Ever Wanted Was Chickens.
I knew you would come up with something funny. I was like, I can't wait to hear like what Stephanie's would be.
That's so good.
It would have to be because I've got to get other people's attention when they're walking through the nonfiction section. If it's not funny, it's not going to attract their attention.
Maybe you could go in on chickens with someone else. Like maybe they could have the chickens and you could just like help them.
That's a possibility. Do you want chickens, Tara?
No. Our neighbors had chickens and ducks, and they did very well with them back in Marion. So,
well, I think that mine might be, and I don't know, this might be too close to copyright, but this is always how I felt in my life as a librarian, is the title would be The Reluctant Ravenclaw, because I feel like I'm always talking about Harry Potter, and it's not my favorite, and so everybody's like, you don't like Harry Potter? No, Harry Potter's fine. It's fine, but I just think it's not my favorite thing. So sorry. But so I always feel as a librarian, it's like that's the thing that it's the thread that connects me to everyone is, you don't like Harry Potter? So anyway, The Reluctant Ravenclaw, I think, would be my title if it got past copyright. Which it's
got some good alliteration.
You know me, that's my favorite. Oh, well, with that, we are going to end our session for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Stephanie and Tara, for being with us today, talking about nonfiction. Again, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.